Have you ever been told to niche down? And when you follow that exercise, you found how absolutely hard that is? So today's video, I want to dive into the antithesis of niching down and look at the other option of de-niching and seeing if that could be a smart path forward for you and your organization. Most of my clients that I work with are actually not niche down. Yeah, they have a little bit of a niche, but they're not super niche down. And why is this? There's always change in the marketplace. The advent of new technology and artificial intelligence, the advent of economic cycles of where we're at and what's happening in the economy, it changes week after week, but we also see a steady trend of what part of the cycle we're in, what's happening in tech, and what could be happening in all these industries. So how do we find which markets, though, to place our bets in? And I think that's something that we got to be looking at as strategic leaders and as founders, or if you're working with me, we look at what are the markets that we should be, like if we were going to make bets for the next year, the next 3 years, next 5 years, what's the spread? What are the markets that we look at? And here's 3 simple steps. They're not easy, but simple steps that I look at to make this straightforward. And I hope that you can find value from this. So number 1 is you want to look at your best ideal client fit and align that to your company culture. Do you like working with them? Do they like working with you? And also the way that you behave and organize and operate in the marketplace defines who you're going to attract in the marketplace. Like I'm only going to attract a certain type of person. You are only going to attract a certain type of person. Instead of fighting that, lean into that. So that's the first thing. Who is the ideal client fit that we're looking at? The second is what's happening in each of those markets. Let's say you're looking at your top 5, your top 10, your top 20 clients. What markets are there in? It's probably going to be 3 to 5, max 8, probably around 5 different markets you're looking at. From my experience working with clients and auditing their client accounts, like it's about 5. What's happening in each of those markets? What are the trends in buying behavior, new technology, regulation, what's happening in the market's perception, what's going on around like the perception of the market, the culture's influence on the market. So you got to be looking at those particular industries that you're serving, what's actually happening in each industries. And that's just a few questions to get this rolling, but you can do a deep dive on all those industries, maybe do an analysis, buy some reports, review, and identify, okay, what's happening today? What are the projections? What's the growth cycle or what's the stage that this industry is in? What's projected, what's coming down the pipe, what's happening, et cetera, with the economy, with regulation, et cetera. It's a lot to dive in there. Again, this is not easy. It's simple, not easy. So the third is with all your current data, and this is where you're making the bet, with all your current data and knowledge, knowing that you are not going to have everything perfect right now, where is this market in 3 years? It's a big question, and you don't have that answer. No one has the answer, but you got to make a bet. Because if you want to look like a genius tomorrow, you got to take a risk today, but you got to make the bet. You got to go in and identify, knowing what I know, we did the research, we identified and we focused in, what does the future market look like? What can we do to either de-risk if we see risk happening, or if we see opportunity, what do we do right now to take advantage of that? What strategic investments, team members, technology, what are the things that we can do to advance and move forward? Because doing nothing is actually a choice, but it's a terrible choice. That's the riskiest thing we can do. So once you've placed your bet, take a small test. You don't have to go all in, but you got to be prudent when you do these tests. But take a small test, dive in and say, okay, test those assumptions. And over time, get that feedback loop, work with the team, work with your fulfillment team, strategically analyze, are these bets making sense, and continue to persevere. And also gathering new data, because things will change. Some things change in a matter of days. Some things change in a matter of weeks and months or quarters. But as you get that feedback loop and you're making these assumptions and you're testing those assumptions and it's just following the scientific method, you reiterate and identify the spread of the markets that you want to serve. And from there, you might either be in completely different markets. So again, maybe you're not niche down anymore, or you've identified instead of 5 or 8, 3 or 2 different markets. So you're honing in your energy, you're honing in your focus, and you're honing in your team to maximize your opportunity within those markets. So that's the argument that I have for niching, and that could be a smart path forward for you. If you have any questions or comments around that, please comment below, and I look to seeing your questions here in the chat.